Welcome to Wednesday, Secular Soapbox Day here on the Skeptic Haven Network. I'm your host, Jesus Christ. As always, I'll be joined by my favorite co-host, Apostacie. Today's special guests will be Objectively Dan and Jason from Dragons and Genesis. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support the network on Patreon. Let's start the show. Oh man, that was scary.
So let me tell you something. You initiated. Let me tell you something. You did not give me a trigger warning. You initiated a viral video that has been in my immune system for like 12 years. Here's the only reason why I knew it was coming. I recently looked that video up 2 weeks ago, and the music and everything, it's all there. But I saw it coming this time, but it's like, if I didn't see it coming.
I thought it was Lord of the Rings or something.
I had no idea. I thought, oh, we changed our intro. Okay, what the heck?
Thanks, Wes, for surprising us with all that.
Oh my gosh.
Same on
Welcome
you.
to the show, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming on. Positive as always. Jason from Dragons and Genesis and Objectively Dan. Holy cow, guys. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
No problem. It seems like you're trying to scare me away, but I'm still going to stick around at least for the next hour or so. We'll see. So.
Thank you.
Well, that's fine. If you don't love me, I'll just burn forever. So, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Do what you want, Dan. All right. So why don't, Jason, tell us what you do.
By day I'm a truck driver, and by night I'm still a truck driver. But on the weekends I can't shut up about the Bible, so I do a lot of reading and then some more reading and a lot of note taking, and then I get a microphone and I prattle on incessantly, and I force my girlfriend to listen to all of it. So yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do.
No, it's fantastic. Definitely check out the show. I love the show. I've been a fan for a while.
Yeah.
I know Apostacie loves the show. Great stuff, Jason.
Great
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you for your content.
Thank
100%.
you. Thank you.
Objectively Dan, because we don't know who you are. Tell us what you do.
Well, yeah, I'm Objectively Dan. I'm probably most known for what I got behind me here, which is my call-in show, Truth Wanted, that happens live every week. I talk to people about Christianity, but also about skepticism, conspiracy theories. I just talked to a guy 2 weeks ago that said space wasn't real. So we run the whole gamut. We talk to a lot of different people.
Wow.
And that's probably what people mostly know me for. But I've also been trying to do some streaming and some other stuff recently too. So it's been fun.
Street epistemology too. Is there any history of that?
There is a history of that. A lot of people know me for being when I was a Christian, being featured on one of Anthony Magnabosco's videos. I'm not shy to talk about that, but I also like to point out I do other stuff too. You know what I mean? It's like it happened a couple years ago now. It's like I don't want to be like a child star that just you had that one moment in the
Remember that one time, Dan?
Your
Exactly.
name.
When I was like 19, yeah, exactly. But yeah, that is what a lot of people know me for. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for your service. I mean, honestly, man, you do a good job. Atheists in action, man. I mean, we need more of it and more people like you guys.
I appreciate
100%. We appreciate what you do. So as far as Halloween goes, because we're definitely in the Halloween episode, I don't know why everybody's not dressed up.
Why would you think we're in a Halloween episode? I mean, I always wear Minnie Mouse.
I'm dressed up as an atheist.
There you go.
No,
an atheist DJ. There we go. We got Dan's over here.
DJ, right.
DJ Dan. So scary. As far as scary parts, I mean, we've all been in the church. We've all been there, done that. As far as Halloween goes, what was your childhood like with that?
I guess I'll go first with that. Halloween was always pretty okay. I grew up first in the Methodist church, and then I grew up in my teenage years in the Baptist church. But we didn't go to a Baptist church because of theological reasons. It was literally just because we knew people there, and we wanted to switch churches. And my Boy Scout troop was there, so that was it, right? But the Baptists I knew definitely had mixed feelings about it. They would always be the ones to try to offer alternative events where it's just oh, come hang out with us. on
Harvest
Halloween or different kind of festivals and stuff like that. So your theology may vary depending on
Yeah.
who you talk to around me, but I was always cool with it. I mean, it was always fun.
Jason?
So
Thanks, Dave.
mine was pretty typical. I mean, I grew up Catholic, which means I got to dodge a lot of that weird evangelical stuff.
Nice job.
Of course, we had like 3 extra servings of guilt, but I mean, like if you did anything, I mean, like if you laughed, that was probably a sin, and you should feel bad about it for the rest of your life. But the best memories I had with Halloween actually involved the church. So what we did, our church, it actually had a like they took this pavilion that was behind the church that they would use for events and things, and they would wall the thing off, and they had this gigantic haunted house in there every year for like 2 weeks before Halloween, and it was the biggest haunted house in the entire town. And it was amazing, and it wasn't like those weird like Hell House things
Right,
that
which
popped up at the time.
Mask.
No,
Yeah.
it was like Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and all kinds. It was awesome. And I remember, like, as a kid, like my mom, who was like really active in the church, she was part of like the Daughters of Mary. My father was in the Knights of Columbus. I was an altar server. So we were like hardcore Catholic. And I remember my mom and my older brother sitting around one day making a very realistic looking severed arm with like bones sticking out and blood and stuff. And it was going to be used in the haunted house at the church. And this was just amazing. So yeah, like my church Halloween experience was awesome.
That's
Jason,
amazing.
you might be one of, I mean, there must be a small number of people, like there's probably more chess grandmasters in the world than people who have said my best memories of Halloween actually involved the church. Like how small, what an elite group of people you must be part of, right?
Yeah. Like, I think we all got like badges or something because of that.
They had
I
to.
believe
They
it.
had to. Yeah.
Yeah, we got like commemorative tattoos, I can't show you mine because of where I put it, but I've got
Catholic Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man, that
our
is
Halloween
crazy.
was pretty cool.
So did they have any kind of like I don't know, come to Jesus moments at the end there? The end of the house or
it was
anything?
just like, we're gonna scare the piss out of you.
And that's
Here's
it.
some candy. Have a go. And there was actually like a fire safety thing, because like for some reason the fire department was there, and they would like tell kids, like when you left, there were like some guys in the fire department who were next to the exit, and they were like all dressed up as stuff, like almost like zombie firemen, and they would like tell kids about like some fire safety, and they got like this little like Halloween fire safety card that they would toss in their bag along with some candy, and that was the closest thing to like a come to Jesus moment. It was like, don't let your pumpkins burn down the house.
Yeah.
Here's
Check
like
your fire
fire
extinguishers.
yeah. It was
Or
stuff
fire
like that.
safety. Don't end up in hell. I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
there
gonna
you
say
go.
there's a
Burn or
connection
burn.
there.
There's
Right.
definitely a message there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was
make me throw you
weird
in
because
hell.
it was in the back parking lot of this church, and there was nothing religious about the entire thing.
That is so
It was really
weird.
bizarre, and this was like at the height of the Satanic Panic. So yeah, it was kind of
Out
weird.
of all of that. Wow.
Yeah. We only got a
Wow.
little bit of the Satanic Panic in our church, but
Hmm.
even that didn't stick around very much. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Really?
Out of all things. That's so weird. A haunted house.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
don't get me loop on that one. Harvest festivals. Anybody do harvest festivals?
Yeah,
No.
we had something similar to it. Just like I think they just called it a fall carnival or
Oh, wow.
something.
Wow, yeah.
Just kind of like again, just like alternative events that you could go to and support
Gotcha.
during Halloween. That's like family friendly and stuff, right? So.
That's so
But
fun.
people would still wear costumes and stuff. To
Yeah.
that, so
Costume contest.
I don't
and
know.
whatnot.
It's more like a Comic-Con than anything. It's like a cosplay contest than it is
Totally.
a Halloween party. So I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, we had like
That's so
hay
funny.
rides, but they didn't put that much effort into them. It was like, here's this little path in a field, and there's some jack-o'-lanterns and a couple little spooky decorations, and you hop on this trailer being pulled by a tractor by some drunk old farmer, and he just like cruises you around the thing and then drops you off.
Breathing all
The
exhaust.
hay ride was pretty boring.
Can
Yeah.
I almost mentioned. Can I tell a story real quick? I almost
No,
said
we don't do
Yeah.
stories for the show.
Well, here's the thing, right? I recently visited where my girlfriend's family live, which is I don't want to say where exactly, but it's out there in Texas. Okay, it's just one of these things out there.
Mhm.
And we drove by, and this was around Halloween last year, and there's this sign that was talking about. It said like city named Demon Hunters, and I was like, what does that mean? It said Demon Hunters Expo specifically. It was a Demon Hunters Expo. I'm like, what? Why does this town have a demon hunter? How many demon hunters are in this town, and how many of them are going to this expo? Well,
And how do
turns
I
out-
join?
Right?
sounds
Well,
fun.
I was like, can we go? Like, do we have time this weekend? I want to check it out. But what it actually
Make
was,
time.
what it actually was a paintball event. And
Oh.
this paintball thing, it was literally a paintball event for Christ. I'm not kidding.
No.
It was,
Oh my
yes,
God.
it was people dressed up
Oh my god.
different
How
skins
clever.
and stuff, right? And
These
when
Christians.
and they wear demon masks and stuff, and the kids shoot them with paintball guns.
Of course.
And so
of
you're
course.
a demon hunter.
So they-
you're shooting with paintballs. Yeah.
Like
That's
the
amazing.
spirit of lust, the spirit of fear. You have to
Yeah,
shoot
I
those.
don't. Yeah, I don't know if they were talking about lust
Oh.
with 10-year-olds, but
They
like,
totally-
Oh, that's
I think it was more like
I don't know.
I want to. I yell at my brother because I'm playing too much Xbox and he wants to play, and it's like that
Oh.
kind of sin level.
That's
But-
amazing.
The reason why I know this is because I found this YouTube channel that had these promos that they did for it, and they played like Christian rock / metal in these trailers, and these people are dressed, and it is amazing. It was really cool. So I will have to send them to you, but it was
I'm
pretty
definitely going to watch that now. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh
course.
man, like Christian metal was the worst. Like,
Oh, Petra.
I remember,
I remember Petra.
I remember being into metal while I was
Mm.
like the most Catholic I had ever been, and I heard some Christian metal, and I was like, wow, like I think Jesus would like gladly get crucified again just to make this stop. It was that bad. Like there was never a single good Christian metal song. It never happened.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I'll let you pass with that, Jason, but that's okay.
Oh,
I grew up with
okay,
it, you know. I still listen
Yeah.
to MXPX. That's a guilty pleasure. I love it. But so
I like some POD songs. I think
Ooh,
that's
see?
the closest I got to that genre.
I mean, they
But,
have like good
so
Christian rock, and
But I
even
like the
some good
secular
Christian
POD
alternative.
songs.
But I never heard of good Christian metal.
I like the
Yeah.
Christian Amy Grant, but I don't like the secular Amy Grant.
Yeah,
Basic.
something like that. Something like that. Well, it's like you spend half of your PR explaining to people that no, you're not Satanist. This is actually for the Lord. So I don't know. It's hard to get the message out there. You got a lot of barriers, right?
Halloween stories. Anybody got a good Halloween story for us?
Well, my mom just put in the chat. My mom watches, and she just reminded.
There she is.
Yes, she said that when I was little, we used to have a Hallelujah party. So kind of a play on Halloween and Hallelujah.
Man,
And the pastor would
Christians and
bobbing
their
for
wordplay.
apples. I know. And apparently my grandmother freaked out because bobbing for apples had a satanic connotation to it.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I've got to hear
I wasn't
Why?
this.
aware of that.
There
What's
you
the
go.
satanic
There you go.
connotation?
So that's I don't
How does that
know.
work?
I don't know.
Huh.
But that was
I
in the
thought-
height of satanic
I
panic.
thought bobbing for apples was just what like medieval people did for fun because like YouTube
Probably.
hadn't been invented yet.
There's
like
no
I thought
Game
that's
Boys.
just yeah,
Not a one.
it's just like what like hey, you want to stick a bunch of apples in a barrel and stick our faces in it? Like
Don't
that's
touch
what
it.
you do,
Don't touch it. with your
right?
hands.
Yeah, exactly.
This will be
Let's
so
just
much
do-
fun. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Later we'll throw
But
a stick around.
apparently it's satanic. So yeah.
I guess everything if it's
Yeah.
the more fun it is, the more satanic
The
it
worst
likely
it
is.
is.
There is a
Yeah.
like
That's true.
a positive correlation there, right?
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. We,
My-
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, maybe it's the apple,
No,
the
you-
sin thing with Adam and Eve. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Maybe.
well,
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know,
Yeah.
Christians are weird. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
When you had the big bucket full of apples, was there like a snake in there?
Yeah.
Did it give people bad advice or
Tempting you?
anything?
No.
Oh, I don't know. man.
Trust in me.
I'm sure if you look it up, you'd find some kind of story that a Christian apologist wrote. But
Oh,
yeah,
Stacy's
Like,
grandmother was totally into Petra. The truth comes out.
it's true. It's true. Yeah. True. But my growing up years in Halloween, it was always kind of we'd celebrate it or we wouldn't, and then we would or we wouldn't. There was a lot of guilt if we did celebrate it. And then when I had kids 10 years ago, we've never celebrated it. So
Wow.
they've done it because I got very hardcore. And this is actually going to be the first year celebrating Halloween and trick-or-treating and dressing up.
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, have you trick-or-treated before?
I have. Yeah. Like I
Okay.
have. But like I said, I always felt really guilty when I would, even as an adult, like dress up and go to Halloween parties. I'd feel this like, Jesus is mad at me.
I don't like that.
As a
just so you know.
30-year-old. Yeah. Pardon? Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. I was like, what? But yes.
Awkward. Okay. No.
Yeah.
No. I think my first time trick or treating, I was 19. So I mean, I never really did it. I had to leave and finally just like I'm just gonna dress up and go door to door. That was interesting. That was an
There
interesting
you go.
experience.
Good for you.
That's interesting. I went as Harry Potter one year, and there was a guy that did tell me that was the first time I'd ever heard somebody say that Harry Potter was satanic. Actually,
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
because I didn't understand. I was like, I just like these because it's kind of fun. Like it's just kind of magic.
Now,
and,
were you an
know.
adult at the time?
I know I was like 10. I was the target demo, right? But like that was the first time I'd ever heard somebody say that. Like I know it like that's like the stereotype people go to, but I just never experienced that, and I was just kind of surprised. I was like, I don't think you've actually seen Harry Potter, and that's the feeling I get when people still talk about it.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
I had a guest recently tell me that Harry Potter deserves to be stoned to death. I'm just like, God,
He's a
no.
character.
Weird.
I was gonna say like the character, like
Yeah, no, like if he was in real life, he deserves to be stoned to death. And it was a whole thing about Harry Potter and how evil it is and whatnot. It's just the things that people think about, even these television characters. What was that most recent one with the Hocus Pocus? Holy cow! Didn't that lady just go off on demons and Satan and they can get through?
Oh yeah.
We are
If you watch
living
the
in
movie. They could cast a spell through
There
your
it is.
TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I
we
remember
are
stuff
living
like
in the
that when I was a
satanic panic
kid.
2.0.
2.0.
Yeah,
There it is.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember
believe
like
it.
in the late 80s, they had that whole like Geraldo special about Satanism in America, and and then everyone thought that like games, anything like more elaborate than Monopoly was going to kill you, and it was really fun because my brother and I, we had gone in half and half to buy the old like red box Dungeons and Dragons box set so we could start playing. I was like 8 years
That's
old.
the worst.
And so yeah, like that thing, it'll like bring on full on possession or something. So we get this thing, we start playing, and right after that, I mean, within a matter of months, there's all this stuff on TV about how Dungeons and Dragons is corrupting your children, and they're casting spells through the game, and they're learning how to worship demons and all kind of stuff. And my mom is kind of freaked out because she has 2 young sons who are playing this game. So she did the most bizarre thing imaginable. She asked to play so she could find out what it was.
Oh, nice.
And so we helped her make a character, and my older brother was the DM, and my mom and I were like running through this adventure. And by the end of it, she came to the conclusion that it was, in her words, make-believe and math, which is the best description
That's not wrong
for RPGs ever.
That's not wrong at all.
Yeah.
So
And
now
so
she's
she
like a
decided it
dungeon
was
master.
harmless. Well, no, she kept playing for a little bit, for a couple of years.
Wow.
But yeah,
Go
she had
mom.
fun doing it. And she had so much fun that when my next brother was born, she named him after her D&D character.
What?
So I have a brother who is
No.
named after a D&D character
That's the coolest story.
by my Catholic mom at the height of the Satanic
Wow.
Panic.
Jason,
Amazing.
what the hell? Dude, your Halloweens are awesome, and you have a D&D name, brother. Are you sure you were Christian, dude?
Well, I was Catholic, so I don't think it counts as true
I guess
Christianity,
not.
right?
It doesn't.
That's what
They are
Baptists
It
told me.
doesn't.
I've been missing out, dude. What the hell? I should have been a Catholic.
Right?
Definitely the wrong religion. Damn it.
No, look. Here's what you should do. And since we're talking about spooky stuff,
Yes.
everyone, like when you have kids, you should raise your children as Catholic. Like, you don't need to believe, but you need to get them to believe. And they need to believe that demonic possession is real up to the age of about 13. And then you let them watch the director's cut of The Exorcist all alone in the dark. Because that movie hits entirely different when it's basically a documentary.
Yeah.
And so like it's still my favorite horror movie. Like, other people are like, this is kind of cool. And it's like, no, you need to be Catholic to appreciate this film to its fullest extent. And then after that, you can tell your kids that no, religion is just made up. But what'd you think about the movie?
So you're saying
that's how you should. That's how
How
you
was
should
the
be.
player's performance? How do
You're
you think
saying
about
for
it?
lore purposes. That's what you're saying. Like, you want to be able to. You're the person that's saying no. You need to read Lord of the Rings before you watch the movie. You're saying no. You need to have the Catholic fear of demonic possession before you can appreciate The Exorcist.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly it. And the book by William Peter Blatty of The Exorcist is amazing.
I've yet to read that. I'll check it out.
But you should read the Silmarillion before Lord of the Rings and then watch the movies.
Damn it. It's too late. It's too late. I watched it all. Even the new stuff.
No, the Peter Jackson films are really good. So
he's amazing. Oh, no, amazing.
Yeah,
Like one of my favorite Peter Jackson films is definitely Bad Taste. Love it. Great stuff. Highly recommend it. Check it out. It's like one of his first films that aliens take over. And
what was that one he made like 10 years ago about the girl that goes to heaven? What was that called? You remember that? Yeah,
No.
Nobody talks about that movie. What's
nobody
that called?
talks about that one. I don't know that one.
I gotta Google it now. I watched it in
go.
theaters, and I watched it with my youth group at the time, and I think that was part of the motivator there. Because
that's amazing.
Direct themes of heaven were involved. What is that called? I can't remember now.
All right. Well, while you Google that, I'm going to ask the appropriate Halloween question here for everybody. I'm going to start with you, Apostacie. What is your favorite scary movie?
Oh.
Or should I do it differently? What's your favorite scary movie? Yes,
I found the name of it, by the way.
Oh, what is it?
Lovely
yeah.
Bones. You remember that movie, The Lovely Bones?
I've never even heard
He was a
of that.
producer on it. Yeah, it's about a girl who gets murdered, and then she watches over her family like in purgatory, and there's like weird stuff with that. But yeah, it was a weird
Check
movie.
that out. I do like Peter Jackson. He's got good stuff. Definitely check out Bad Taste, though. It's a funny one. Stacey, go ahead.
Dead Alive is another good one.
My favorite scary movie. Anything clowns. I don't. Anything with clowns. I don't like clowns.
Oh, yeah.
It.
Killer
I
Clowns
think
from Outer Space. Ooh.
Yeah.
Tim Curry or the new guy?
The original.
Tim Curry.
So I guess is that Tim Curry? Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen the new one, but that one is definitely like, no.
Love Tim Curry.
I think the new guy did a good job portraying Pennywise. I just don't think that the movies were, I don't know, very well executed.
Oh, now you're gonna piss everybody off in the chat group. Here it is. It's going. Oh man. Oh, Jason's an asshole. Oh, dude. Oh.
Now, if you like him, hey, awesome. I won't ever hate on someone for enjoying a movie that I don't particularly like. So
what was it specifically? Was it the writing, the directing? What was it?
Okay, I thought the first one worked. It was a bit different, but I thought that the first worked of the new one. But then the second one, I don't know. It almost felt like the pacing was off.
A little bit. I feel that. Yeah. Especially
it's like you kind of start getting into it, and then it just starts dragging for a while. And so that tension and that apprehension that it built up, it just goes away. and then it has to start all over. And so I don't know, it just kind of I kept falling out of it, because when you're in the theater or when you're watching it, you have this sort of suspension of disbelief. It's like you're there and this stuff is real, and you get to experience and enjoy the film. And it kept kind of like bumping me out of it, as if I had walked out of the room and walked back in and had to try to re-enter the film, I guess. Maybe not the best way to put it.
Makes sense. No, I totally get it. Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of movies and series that do the same thing, for sure.
Yeah. I thought the first installment did a much better job. The second one just, I don't know. I think they were well made, though. Like they looked amazing. The acting was really good, and like the dialogue and stuff, was spot on. It was just something was a bit off.
It's just a bit off.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Oh, sorry, I was gonna give my commentary, but we can move on. No, I didn't watch the second one. I did watch the first one of the new ones, right? And the two things I remember from that movie are very uncomfortable, realistic portrayal of a young girl's trauma, and that steady cam shot where he's doing this, and it's just zooming in on his face. Those are like the two takeaways I have from the movie. But honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like, I don't like kid actors in movies, but like Finn Wolfhard's in there. You got to represent Stranger Things, right? So like he's doing good, and that part, honestly, the kids were the best part of that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the CG stuff, I don't know. I kind of thought it was okay.
My kids love that stuff. That
when he made his eyes go in different directions, that was cool.
Yeah, that was
and
weird.
Apparently he really did that. Like he actually does that.
Really?
Yeah, that wasn't CGI. He legit did that, like in front of the director, and it creeped him out.
I can imagine.
Would be.
He also walked up to was it Bill Hader? And like in costume, he just walked up to him, looked him dead in the eyes, and made one eye just go all crazy, and the dude freaked out.
That's awesome.
Oh my
yeah. So when his eyes are like running off on their own, that's actually just him.
All right. Well, the new podcast we're doing is about movies. We'll get to that later.
Right.
I could talk all day on that shit.
Oh
Dan,
my gosh.
what is your favorite scary movie?
So you're gonna hate me. I'm not a big scary movie guy. I never grew up. I wasn't allowed to watch scary movies growing up. So by the time I was of age to watch them, I didn't really, I don't know. I wasn't as into them. Now I remember watching like Saw on Sci-Fi, right? And like, and I remember seeing like all they had the Saw marathon. So like, I got to watch all of those, and I like those a lot.
The gore, you like the gore, is what you're saying.
Like about it, to be honest, I don't like most scary movies. I'm too, at this point in my life, it's the darn atheism that makes me too analytical, right? And it's like, you know what? I look at these absurd situations, and I'm just like, this is just very silly. This is just a very silly movie to me. I don't feel scared most of the time, which isn't like me trying to be like super macho or anything. It's just like I don't know. It doesn't do much for me.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, it's not scary.
Yeah.
It's just, I like the visuals. The visuals are fun.
Yeah, the visuals, and that's why I like the Saw, because like that's a very striking thing. Like everybody knows what Jigsaw looks like, right? Like everybody knows the premise, even though they got really cheesy and lame later. Like that's a strong.
They did. Presence. They really did.
I like that, So.
No, that's good. So you like the dismemberment and the gore. It's all cool. That's okay, Dan.
Yeah, I'm secretly like, a masochist and just like, really like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What not is in Dan's basement? That's part 2 of today's conversation.
Right. That's Patreon exclusive for Secular Hangout or whatever you guys use for funding, or maybe I don't know. But anyway.
Favorite Halloween movie monster? Anybody got a favorite monster movie? Frankenstein,
Pumpkinhead.
Dracula, Pumpkin. Oh, that's a good one.
The old one with Lance Henriksen. Yeah. I love that. I watch it every year for Halloween. It's an amazing film.
That was a good one. Evil Dead. Anybody? Evil Dead. I love that one. So much.
I never saw Evil Dead. This sounds silly, but you guys like Nightmare Before Christmas? That counts as a Halloween movie, right?
Yeah, it counts.
Well, of course, 100%.
And it counts as a Christmas movie.
Boogie
and since it takes place in between, it's also a Thanksgiving movie. So you can start watching it now and watch it all the way until New Year's, and you're good.
I like the burlap sack.
It's actually an Easter movie, too, because Easter shows up in there.
Yeah.
There's a door.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
and
they are celebrating Christmas,
Easter Bunny,
which is a Christian, origin. So they probably also have an Easter town, right? Like that's
What a weird town.
So
Yeah, I don't know what you do there. But then
No,
again,
I don't think I want
I don't know what they do for the rest of the year in Halloween Town either. So
Well, they make toys now. They're anyways.
that's true.
Hell houses. Anybody been to hell houses? Has anybody actually visited
no,
one?
I never got to go to one.
No,
No,
Me neither.
I've been to like haunted houses.
Never-
but not a house.
Well, that's not real.
You're like,
though,
eh.
Dan. That's not real.
that's not
Well,
fun.
here's the
Ouija
other thing.
boards.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say another thing on that. Is I'm also my presence betrays me. I'm a really big dude. I'm like 6'5". So like most people just are not scary to me in general. If that makes sense. Again, this isn't me like being macho. It's just like I'm just bigger than most human beings. Like
You're just
You know.
you're too cool for us, Dan. We all know. We
I-
know. It's
yeah,
okay.
that's what it is. For sure.
Oh.
For sure.
All right. Well, Stacy's mom's got a question for the panel here. What is your favorite candy? Go ahead. We'll start with Stacy.
Oh man, I like summer sour gummies. Those are anything that's
Mhm.
yeah, and fizzy, like the fizzy Coke bottles and
Oh, those are
Yeah.
good. Those. Oh yeah.
yeah, or Twizzlers. I just love candy.
Twizzlers. Anybody
Twizzlers,
like?
Yeah.
Who likes candy corn? Anybody like actually like candy corn?
No,
I don't think
do.
candy corn's that bad.
I'll eat it.
Jason's nodding.
It's not going to win any awards from me, but it's not bad. It's overhated. It's like Nickelback, you know.
Overrated.
No,
It's
no,
the Nickelback of
not.
Halloween
Yeah.
candies.
it
I-
totally is though.
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
But Nickelback still sucks though. I mean, you just can't deny it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
but
I
there's
wouldn't
people
say
who will
candy
buy
corn is that
Nickelback
bad.
records, though, and there are people
Oh man,
who will
you
buy
can't tell
candy
me
corn.
Nickelback is good and Christian rock music totally sucks. You can't tell me that both those in the same sentence. That's not how that works.
No,
Oh,
there's
right,
some
well-
good Christian rock, like Spirit in the Sky. Oh, that's an
Oh,
amazing
no.
song.
MXX is a great Christian band.
It's gonna get stuck in my
love
head.
their old stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Teenage Politics. Oh, come on. Poconacha. God, I'm telling you.
But
man.
then if you actually analyze the lyrics of Spirit in the Sky, it's not even that Christian. It's like
It's not.
vaguely spiritual. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's good. Again, because it deviates from the Christian theme. I don't know.
Yeah. Amy Grant was talking
Sure.
about Jesus the whole time.
Yeah.
I've got a question from the group here. Wes, great question. What's the scariest parts of the Bible? Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of stuff. Jason, we were talking earlier about the angel.
yeah, that
Oh, that's a good
that angel of death scene, which it's kind of in there twice in 2 Samuel 24 and 1 Chronicles 21.
Hmm.
Basically, Yahweh's like, yo, Dave, I want you to like conduct a census. And he does this because he's angry. Like God is pissed off, and it never says why. It just says that his anger rose up against Israel. And he's like, Dave, go count all the people. And Dave is like, all right, cool. And he conducts a census, and it takes him like forever to do it because it's like a whole country. And then he gets done counting, and Yahweh's like, wait, you counted them as I commanded?
What the fuck?
Pissed. And then he's like, okay, angel of death, you did as you were told. You obeyed a direct order. A lot of people are going to die.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
angel of death comes in. It causes a
70,000.
plague, and 70,000 Israelites are just slaughtered, which screws up his whole count.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like when they
gotta
retell it
recount.
in First Chronicles, like the chronicler, he's like, no, we're not just going to say that Mashith, this angel of death, is coming in to kill people. No. You're going to see it. And it completely fills the space between heaven and earth. It blots out the entire sky. And it has this gigantic sword that stretches across the horizon. And its arms reach out all the way over Jerusalem. And then it starts killing all the people. And so it's like, this
Such a
is
loving
like
act.
end of Ghostbusters type of horror. It's just like, you've got 4 dudes in jumpsuits on top of a building, and they're trying to cross the streams. And this thing is covering up all of New York, and people are getting butchered by a giant angel sword.
It's
You
the
know,
first
they got to go and like
Ghostbusters.
conduct a sudden like sacrifice at a grain factory. They're like, all right, let's hurry up and do this to appease God. Okay, cool. He only killed 70,000. Can we
I
just
wanna know who
subtract
counted
that
the
from the
bodies.
count, or
Yeah.
will that math piss him off again? What do we do?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty creepy. So
Yeah. That's definitely one
yeah,
of
it's
my.
like
I
First
love that
Chronicles
story.
21. It's pretty cool. I think it's verse 16. Cool
It's one of my
imagery.
favorite contradictions for sure. Because one story, Yahweh incites David to do the count. The other story,
Right.
Satan advised.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, well, who did it? Either way, pointlessly, 70,000 people died. They never
For a
had to. It was no
census.
point for a census, and
Yeah.
never says why it was a bad thing. Not once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
And
It is a weird
maybe
verse.
this story is really just because they had like one little district that was claiming to have more people so they could get like more representatives on the council or something. And then the census came back like, nah, man, you're like 70K short. Like, man, no, we totally weren't. This wasn't like fraud. We weren't like, Yahweh must have killed him just now.
Well, if there's anything that
Yahweh.
Yahweh deeply respects, it is like parliament and like democratic representatives for individuals, right? Like he's a huge fan
Huge.
of like
Oh, yeah.
of elected democracies. I gotta
yeah,
say,
he's all about the
Yeah.
fairness, man.
yeah,
He wants
for
everyone
sure.
to have a voice.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Like so, when you were like, "What's the scariest verse?" Of course, you meant like literal imagery. I was thinking like, "Oh man, there's some scary verses for like implications of women's rights." Like I don't
Yeah.
know, like there's a lot of like
No, yeah.
that's where my
what
brain
would yours
went.
be, Dan? What was yours be?
I always think of the First Timothy verse where it's just like a woman is not permitted to speak or whatever, right? Like and not permitted to teach. Like that's such a simple thing. But do you realize how that one sentence has shaped the course of human history for the past like 2,000 years, right? Like
Unfortunately, yeah.
this one guy who just decided to just say this thing has now been interpreted by millions and millions of people to say, oh, well, this is a woman's place in a social hierarchy. That's of course a very egregious example,
Yeah.
but there's others as well that just
Yeah.
deeply imply, if not outright advocate for a separation of these kinds of powers between men and women that are still felt today. And then I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's the existential fear, baby. I'm going
Yeah.
like
No, that's good. No.
this is a David Fincher movie or something. Like this is a little deeper. This ain't Jigsaw. This is something else. I
It
don't
goes
know.
deeper though, Dan. It goes even
Yeah.
deeper than that because the verse after it tells women should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or assume authority
Right.
over a man. She must
Exactly.
be quiet. Verse 13, it digs in even deeper. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. Like that's a fucking
Yeah.
excuse.
Right.
And Adam was not the one who was deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner.
Right.
Like, holy shit, man. You're just blaming everything on the woman at this
I
point.
know.
Yeah.
It's
Horrible.
It's like, hey, you want to point to in the Bible how many times men have fucked up? Like just in the Bible. I'm just saying, like
Oh, no, they never
it's a pretty
did. They got
common
it all
occurrence.
But God wanted him. He wanted them that way, for
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all that shit. Oh, Jesus.
You want to
No,
hear
that's good.
something
Thank you,
fun
Dan.
about
That's
that
good.
particular verse that pops up in Timothy? There's actually two little empty things in there. So first, that verse wasn't even in there. Like
Yeah.
it was most likely written into the margins.
Yeah.
And then like some later scribe who's like copying is like, well, man, this must have been left out. Where do I put it? And so he inserts it directly into the paragraph.
Terrible.
And then some other scribe did the same thing. And then another scribe did the same thing.
Mhm.
The problem is each one of them put it in a different part on that page. And so depending on which manuscripts you look at, that verse like floats all around the paragraph.
Right.
Yeah.
So you probably just
wow.
had like, some guy named Bob who got in a fight with his wife and she took out her phone and she like Googled it and she's like, no, look, you're wrong. Okay, well, you know what? Women aren't, you can't speak in authority over.
You don't know what you're talking about.
No, don't touch it. It's still wet. But look, it says right here, in Paul's letter to Timothy. And the
I'm
second
the original.
thing-
You're the clone.
yeah. And the second thing is that Paul didn't write that letter. It's a forgery.
Yeah.
Like half
Then
the
there's
letters
that.
attributed to Paul are forgeries.
Yeah.
Actually,
Is
most of the
First
New
Timothy
Testament-
one of the forgeries? I didn't realize First Timothy was. I thought second Timothy. I could be.
I think where does that verse appear?
Is it
it
both?
2 Timothy it pops up?
I thought it's First
Well,
Timothy, right?
First Timothy
Maybe
2:11 through 14.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so that I'm trying to remember which 7 epistles are authentic. There's First and Second Chronicles, Romans, Galatians, Philippians,
First Timothy
Philemon.
is forged. I have that.
Yeah,
Oh, it is?
I'm
Okay,
trying to
alright.
remember what
That's
the
me, I was
7
wrong.
is. But yeah, so yeah, it
Good
appears
job.
in a forgery.
Okay, yeah.
Um, And it actually goes against things that Paul says in other letters, that were written by him, like Romans, where he talks about like how he has like female apostles, and they are like,
Yeah.
there's one, I think, Junia, in the last chapter of Romans, and she is considered foremost among the apostles. And so
But
it's like,
people,
you know,
but also people will
you know,
downplay that too, though. They'll be like, "Oh, well, actually, she was X, Y, and Z." You know.
oh, they actually like changed the name in some manuscripts. They're like, the name was Junius, which that's not
Right.
an actual name. It only appears at the end of Romans in the doctored text. And in some, they just erase that line altogether.
Fucking Jason.
But yeah, they really did not want her to be in there.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I don't know, man.
Right?
You know,
Wow.
have no clue.
You know, women have had such a good deal with Christianity. I don't understand. It's like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Have they read their Bible? It just doesn't make sense to me. How can you be a woman Christian? Stacy, how can you be a woman Christian and have read the entire Bible? How did it
I'm
work?
not.
Yeah,
Done.
Throw it in your
Alas.
crown. You're done with this place.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. We're love to have you. Thank you.
I love
Question
being
for
here.
Dan. What's the best spooky conspiracy theory? That's a new word. You've heard on TW. What's your Truth
Wanted.
Holy cow.
Truth
Yeah.
Talk
Wanted.
Heathen was the only thing coming to my head. I apologize.
I do
All
host
of-
on Talk Heathen as well.
You
yeah,
do,
but
and that's in the T.
yeah,
Anyway.
Truth One is my baby, though. You know, I started it, so I'm
Yeah.
biased. But spooky conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
huh? I mean, again, I go the existential route. There's some that are spooky for mankind, but I don't know if I've heard one that's like immediately given me chills or whatever, right? I think like the most interesting ones to me are the ones that the implications of it are very scary if they were real, right? So like I've
Right.
talked to people who believe that world powers are conspiring, whether those organizations are satanic in nature or not, but like are conspiring to conceal certain truths and to like, you know, withhold information, but also give information that they deem as like, you know, it's propaganda, right? So like, you know, NASA comes up a lot as one of these organizations where it's like, oh, they're trying to tell us this other information about the Earth not being flat, or in the case
Jewish
of that caller
lasers.
2 weeks ago, space isn't real. Yeah, or you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene's like Jewish space lasers, like, which is like your worldview is terrifying because
Yes.
you actually think that people just give a shit about like what you think about space. Like I you know, it sounds mean to say, but it's like, look, you like Bob from Indiana, your opinion on space like doesn't actually matter. Like they like they're gonna keep doing what they do anyway. I don't know, like they don't need to convince you. Like
Yeah.
you already don't believe in the true stuff. Like they don't need to convince you that none of this is happening or whatever. But anyway, yeah, it is weird how I don't know how people think things through sometimes. And I guess the answer is they don't. But it is strange.
100%. Yeah.
How
No, that guy
weird
that doesn't
people think
believe
about
in
this.
space though, like that's
Yeah.
weird. 100%.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I've heard all day. So how does that work? What was his reasoning behind that?
Well, so his reasoning is, of course, NASA is the big controller of wanting to keep people in the dark about the Earth actually being flat. So he's a
Of
flat
course.
earther, right? So like that's his MO, which is interesting because NASA's not the organization that talks about space or has been to space or does stuff in space. But like, you know, it's one of those things. Again, their deeper thing is, oh, there's a world power order and it's like satanic, right? They're all Satanists trying to convince, like, stop people from preaching God's word. So like that's what it boils down to. And this also ties into stuff like I see a lot of these same people talk about Russia, what's happening going on there with the Ukraine invasion. They'll say, and they'll justify war crimes by saying, oh, well, these Ukrainian people, they're actually Nazis. They're
Nazis,
actually should have this stuff coming. So like there is dangerous implications there. I mean, yay, you know, for artist formerly known as Kanye West, has
Ugh.
had one of the biggest media hypes ever in the last week because every single podcast wants to invite him about how Jewish people are running all the media. It's like, oh, this is
Sucks.
such a growing phenomenon. It's not diminishing. There's lots of people that believe in these world-ending, world-controlling conspiracies. That's scary. That's the real scary thing.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
When they get elected and come
Yeah.
in.
And it's like they don't seem to realize that it was a guy named Eratosthenes in like 240 BCE who demonstrated that the earth was round. You know,
Yeah.
and not only demonstrated that it was round, but actually came up with a measurements for the circumference of the earth.
Yeah.
And
Oh wow.
well, he wasn't dead on. He got pretty damn close.
Yeah. Using pretty
And-
basic stuff, just like
Yeah,
measuring
he
shadows.
measured shadows.
Wow.
And then he
Mhm.
hired some people to walk and count their steps. And
Yeah.
Yahweh didn't get pissed off about
And-
that one.
Right.
That's a job I can
And,
do.
Yeah, look up Eratosthenes.
Yeah,
He proved
and
that
he
the earth was
calculated
round.
approximately the circumference. I don't know if it was circumference of the earth. I think it was circumference of
Yeah.
the earth. Yeah. So,
Yeah, what it was, he knew that on the summer solstice in Syene, Egypt,
Mhm.
there was a well, and you could look straight down, and the sunlight would go all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay, well, that means that on the summer solstice, that well is pointed directly at the sun. So if the earth is round, then another location some distance away will not be pointed directly at the sun.
Hmm.
So all I need to do is measure that distance, and then I could then basically measure that shadow, see what angle it's cast at, and having an angle and being able to multiply that times the distance would then give him a circumference. And he basically found that the
Amazing.
distance between Syene and Alexandria was like 1/50th of like the degrees was like 7.2 degrees or something, which is 1/50th of a circle. So he just got some people, basically some surveyors to just measure the distance for him. He then took that, multiplied it by 50, and was like, okay, the earth is this big.
Yep.
And it came out to be
Wow.
between 24 and 29,000 miles. We don't know the exact measurement because they used a thing called stadia, and we're not exactly sure how long that was. So it's somewhere between 24 and 29,000 miles, which is what he came up with. And the earth is just over 24,000 miles in circumference. So yeah, the dude measured some shadows and then hired some guys to walk. And he got that close, like first try.
Wow.
Yeah, but how many
that's
flat Earth YouTube videos did Aristophanes watch, Jason? 0. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't watch any
What
of
does he know? Okay.
He knows nothing.
Yeah. And it was actually later, like 1,500 years later, some other dingbat had done another calculation and got it wrong. And that was the one that Columbus used. And it was off by several, I think like 5,000 or 7,000 miles, which is why when he got to, the North American continent, he thought he was all the way over in the West Indies because there was like 7,000 miles of globe he wasn't accounting for. So he was, according to that measurement, he was right where he should have been, but he should have used the original calculation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And who hasn't been in that situation, right? When you're
Just
in another
yesterday.
country and you're trying to estimate, the circumference of the earth, and you just, it happens to the best of us.
Yes.
Math. Yeah. A question from the group here. What is the most interesting monsters in mythology at Jason specially?
Ooh. Y'all go first. I'll need a second to think.
Okay. Nephilim, hello.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Love it.
What I mean, you have giant maybe monsters, but can also breed with humans somehow. I don't know how that
Other
works.
Yeah.
And like they were just there, and then the Bible just like never talks about them again, except for like scant
That's
references in the New Testament. It's like, what the fuck happened there, dude? Where are them Nephilim bones at? I want to see them.
Yeah, exactly. I had a
Right.
guest tell me just yesterday. He was telling me that's the reason he had to flood the earth is because the Nephilim were there. The Nephilim.
Yeah,
died.
yeah. Exodus
put
6.
there.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Genesis 6. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
I guess. They didn't
So
survive.
It doesn't make the story any
flood.
better, though. I mean, he still knows what he's doing is going to cause people to be flooded. I don't know. It doesn't make it any better. They still
I
try.
don't know.
They really do.
Yeah.
But like,
Poor
where
Christian.
were they? What day of creation was God like? All right, day 6.5. We're putting some fucking Nephilim in the mix. All right, like, when did that happen? I don't know.
Let's see what happens because I don't know.
Yeah. And according to First Enoch, they're like a kilometer in height. Like they're
Yeah.
not just like
Holy.
7 feet. No, they're like 4,500 feet tall. They're
Oh
they're
my
gigantic. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
huge. And they're like drinking each other's blood because they ate all the food on Earth.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh.
pretty bonkers.
Which Enoch,
gotta read
First
Enoch.
of Enoch, isn't in the New Testament, but it is referenced in the New Testament. So I think that makes it canon in my mind. So,
Well, it's canon in Ethiopia.
yeah,
So-
it is canon. You're right. It is canon in the Ethiopian canon.
So yeah.
Amazing.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
Also, there's that dragon in the book of Daniel, but that's also apocryphal because that's the extra book part where
Yeah.
Daniel literally fights a dragon, and it's dragon being used in like the King James Bible. So I don't know what the original translation was supposed to say there.
Unicorn. Unicorn was original.
Unicorn.
But, yeah.
well,
Well, they have that in there too. But
That's true, too.
Yeah.
Actually, the unicorn one is sort of like this mistranslation. It's supposed to be reem, R-E-E-M, with like a little apostrophe in there somewhere, which it wasn't a unicorn. The medieval translators didn't know what to do with it, so they just called it unicorn. It was a kaiju cow. It was like this gigantic cow that was like the size of a mountain. It was huge.
Kaiju cow.
Yeah. It was one of the 3 primordial beasts. There was the reem was a pair of kaiju cows, one male and one female. Then they had the 3 primordial beasts, which was Z's, Behemoth, and Leviathan.
I've yet to
but
see
yeah.
Godzilla fight the cow. I want to see that episode.
Right,
Or that
right.
movie.
Yeah.
Holy cow. A kaiju cow.
But yeah, the reem, there was a male and a female, and as soon as they were born, they would go to opposite ends of the earth to graze. Yahweh would basically separate them because if they ever like mated and had children, then the herd would be so heavy it would break the foundation of the world. So they had to separate them.
Damn. There's a
they
your
get
mom
together.
joke in there somewhere.
Right? Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Your mom's as heavy as a reem. And then they'd like get together, they'd mate. And then the female, she would give birth to a male and female, and then they would both die. And then the little calves would then separate again for like 70 years or something, and they come back and do it again.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
my
the
favorite
shit people
OG Judaism, man, is some crazy
Oh yeah,
stuff.
the mythology is awesome.
You know, it's
So much
No,
interesting stuff in there.
I think my favorite monster would have to be in Revelation, where they have the Abaddon's locust. Like this pit opens up in the
Oh my
ground,
gosh.
and these locusts come out. They're like the size of horses, and
Yeah.
they have like women's hair
Oh.
and crowns and armor and a scorpion tail,
Yeah.
and they just run around and they attack evil people, but they don't kill them. They just like torture them a little bit, and then they like run off and attack someone else.
Yeah.
Um,
We created these beings just for that.
sounds like my ex-wife, but pissed
purpose.
anyway.
Oh man, if you didn't say it.
No. I don't have an ex-wife, but if I did have one, that's
Still
what I
makes it
would
great.
say.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil, super
Oh.
sticker. Way to go, Phil. I wish I had a bell or a cowbell. Da, 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 da. That works too. Thanks, Wes.
We got a bell.
Too bad Phil didn't have a question, though. That would have been great. Kat says, what
Mhm.
are the creepiest characters in the Bible? Ooh, I'm going to go first. Jesus. He watches you while you're sleeping. All right. Stacy, creepiest.
Yes. Oh man,
Mm.
the creepiest in the Bible. That's a good
Yeah.
question.
That's a good one, Kat. If you don't
That
have
is
it,
a
I
good
can
one.
Move on.
I don't know if no. Let me think about it because I've never actually
Okay.
thought of the creepiest. But
Me doesn't count. Dan?
I feel like if I met Ezekiel in real life, I would be creeped out because he's like doing a lot of things that you see where like I think he is like I genuinely think it's the reflections of somebody who's like mentally disturbed. So
Yeah.
like I think if I met that person in real life, they'd probably make me uncomfortable, if only for the fact that I would wish the best for them and hope that they seek the treatment that they need, because like that's what his writings read like.
Didn't
I'm
he
not
cook his food on human excrement or something?
He
too?
did cook his food.
Oh,
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. If I
yes.
saw that on the street, I would, you know,
He laid on
that
his side for a bunch of years and shit. Like that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Who suffered more, Ezekiel or Jesus?
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
Ezekiel. Definitely.
Yeah. So weird guy, right?
Weird shit. That's for
to
sure.
say the least. Yeah.
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 Jason, you got one?
I think Abraham would rank up there pretty high. I mean,
good
he
point.
pimped out his wife to foreign kings twice.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
He nearly butchered his own son.
Yeah.
He sent his
Because of
other
the voices
son
in his head,
away
yeah.
to live in the desert.
Yeah.
He was totally cool raping his wife's slave,
Yeah.
and then cool with her just being beat relentlessly until she goes off, in the desert to die. And he was totally cool with all that,
Good
So
answer.
yeah, I think Abe is up there with
Mhm.
totally creepy.
Absolutely.
That's
I
fair.
wasn't going to say Alicia because, that whole she bears thing, 42 dead kids, but they made fun of him for being bald. So I think they had it coming. They earned that one.
100%
Yeah.
had it coming. Absolutely. I'll send
You and
those
every
bears
bald
twice.
pastor in the United States, I think, would agree with that. I think
It's
that,
like, you know what? I'm sorry, kids. I'm sorry, but you earned that one. Don't body shame.
Yeah. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, fuck
yeah,
you.
don't body
That's-
shame.
Yeah. Yahweh is against body shaming.
He is. Says the bald guys. Absolutely, Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. I have a full head of hair. That's fine. It's cool.
Okay. I think I thought of one. I think I would have to go with Paul. I think he to me is the creepiest because he made a lot of rules that people still follow to this day. He had a lot to say about sex and what people can and can't do with their own body, and the body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. And he never met Jesus, but he claimed to be an apostle. He has a lot of authority for someone who never even knew the guy, if he even exists. I don't think he exists. But so, yeah, I think Paul, I'm really
right here,
despise
Stacey.
him.
I'm right here. That
I'm
hurts.
sorry.
Damn.
You know what? Burn forever, Stacey. Burn forever.
You know how Christians are like, oh, even if you saw a
Sorry.
miracle right in front of you, you still wouldn't believe. Like he's right there, Stacey. Like he's literally right there.
He's right. I know.
Breathing
He's
in your-
right here. Yeah.
Look how much stress you're causing Jesus. His hair is falling out.
He's even got the little sash,
Right?
Oh,
Just
no.
crooked.
Yeah,
It's there.
got the sash.
All there.
He's an adorable Jesus. But
There you go.
Sorry.
Just somewhere in there.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. All right. Great Halloween special, everybody. Man, this has been a lot of fun. One more question in here from West. West always has the best questions. Other mythologies included now. Favorite monsters, anybody? I'll start. Humbaba? I've never heard of that one. Humbaba?
I don't know.
That's Serbius. Yeah,
Yeah,
Serbius is a great
Humbaba.
one. That's a scary one. Who's Humbaba?
Epic
like
of
Alibaba?
Gilgamesh is a big demon who lived in the big cedar forest, and Gilgamesh and his best friend / lover Enkidu, they have to go into the cedar forest to kill Humbaba. There's a lot of parallels between him and like the snake in the Garden of Eden. You have like this like divine like paradise garden sort of thing for the gods, and so you've got that whole thing, and then it's being guarded by this primeval monster. But Humbaba he sort of has some parallels with some of the biblical characters.
No, you're saying that they copied from other people?
What? No. Yeah,
This is brand new information.
Yeah, no.
Breaking news, everybody.
No, the Bible authors never heard about the Epic of Gilgamesh. I mean, they had copies of it, but there's no way they've read it.
They read it on the toilet, probably.
Yeah. But also, Humbaba was like the king of all the wind demons in like the Babylonian mythology and Sumerian and all that. Like all those dudes knew about him. And so he was like the king of the wind demons. And some of these wind demons included the Lilu, or the Hebrew would call them Lili, which is where we get the word Lilith. And so the Lilith or Lili mentioned in Isaiah 34, 14 or 15, somewhere around there. Those are like these wind demons, and their their king, the one who rules over them, the big king monster, is Humbaba from the Epic of Gilgamesh, who may or may not be the same as Pazuzu. Both Humbaba and Pazuzu, their father was Hanbi, and they stopped talking about.
Know all this.
He just pours out knowledge out of his eyeballs. It's just amazing.
No, it's not.
It's what I do on my
amazing.
podcast.
I know. I
can't
love
do it
it.
without notes though, Jason. You just pour out. It amazes me. It amazes me. Amazing.
Yeah. It is incredible.
Yeah. So Humbaba.
What is your favorite though, Jason? Thank you for that. What is your favorite? Yeah.
My favorite mythical monster. I don't know.
We can come back.
I got one.
Okay, go Dan.
Yeah,
go.
come back to me.
Here. Okay, you guys probably know this, but you don't know the name. But maybe you've heard of Makole Mbembe before. You were Makole Mbembe.
Congo?
Yes, from the Congo. Right.
Oh, man.
Makole Mbembe is what young Earth creationists cite as another reason to believe that dinosaurs were around the time of people, and we have a young Earth. It is a legend that is native to the Congo River, that a dinosaur is there, and it sometimes isn't actually there as a physical being. Sometimes is actually as a spirit. But people still swear today that they've seen this giant dinosaur. It's kind of like it's like one of those long neck dinosaurs that you see. That's how it's characterized.
Yeah, it's like a brontosaurus or something.
Yeah, like a brontosaurus. And there have been documentaries of people like going to Africa and like spending weeks like trying to find Makole Mbembe, and it is the funniest thing ever, because it's like you guys are literally just looking for dinosaurs that just like aren't there. I'm sorry, there's no dinosaurs, but it's just really, really funny because again, it's this young Earth creationist citation as proof that dinosaurs are real, and it's literally like citing Bigfoot. It's just like no one's ever seen this thing. It's just a story out there in the middle of Africa that there's a dinosaur, and I just think that's really funny.
That's amazing.
Okay,
That's
I have
amazing.
one really quick, and
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say what my favorite one is, and it sounds like almost every region probably has a similar story like that. Because right where I live in Canada, in the Okanagan, we have a lake monster called the Ogopogo. That is very similar. It has a long neck, and everyone claims. Yeah, and that's my favorite mythical creature. And even in the major town, Kelowna, you drive in, there's a big Ogopogo, and it has like it's like a loop kind of thing. But yeah, people claim to have seen it. It's like Bigfoot. It doesn't exist, but it's kind of funny to think like, oh, is there something living on a lake that's so deep and old, and yeah, like the Loch Ness. That's my favorite one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. We got a $5. Holy cow, Dan! Hi, all. Good show. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate the donation. That's awesome. Thanks, Dan. Go ahead, Jason. You got one?
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to stick with Hebrew mythology, and I'm going to go with the Ophanim from Ezekiel 10. These are the weird, like, angel creatures that are just like wheels within wheels. There's like 4 of them. They kind of look like that weird spherical thing from Event Horizon. It's just all these weird rings that are spinning around, and it's like they're covered in lights, and they just like fly around in different directions, being creepy and gigantic, and that's all they do. So it's like there's you have this really weird alien looking device cruising around. It's alive. It goes in every direction, and you have no idea what it's doing or what it's for. So you got this unknown sort of, cosmic horror factor. I always think those would be like really trippy to meet, which is probably why they shout like "Be not afraid" when they pop up. So
Don't be scared of me. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I would just freak out and just die.
Classic horror movie line, by the way.
Right. I come in peace.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. This has been awesome. Dan, where can we find your stuff?
Yeah, so primarily, again, you can find me at Truth Wanted. It's on YouTube and also iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. But we're live every week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I'm also streaming on Twitch at Objectively Dan. So check that out.
Kicking ass. Check out Dan's shit. Yeah. Jason, where can we find you?
So my monthly Bible study podcast is on any podcast app. Just search Dragons in Genesis on any podcast app and look for the big orange logo with a silhouette of Godzilla attacking Jerusalem. And that's me. You can go to dragonsingenesis.com, youtube.com/Dragons in Genesis podcast. Just search Dragons in Genesis on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. Just search Dragons in Genesis and look for the color orange, and that's
Can't
me.
miss it. Can't miss it.
If it matches my headphones, then that's me.
I highly recommend both you guys do amazing work. Atheist in Action. Fucking love it, man. Stacy, where can we find your stuff?
I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and you can add me on Facebook too. And then I'm here on Wednesday with you, Michael. Yeah.
Absolutely. Every Wednesday. You can find me at thebiblesayswhat.com. All my shows on YouTube and all other shenanigans. Stacy, go ahead and take us out in a prayer today.
Will everyone please bow your heads? No, just joking. I just wanted to thank our Patreon. You guys are so good.
Oh,
you
that's the best. I love it.
You guys are so good. Okay. No, a big thank you to our guests for coming on and also to our Patreons. We want to thank Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Bryce Aroni, Deborah Grace, Sunny Shell, Aaron Coalson, and Phil Calderone. So thank you again, and we will see you here next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.